Hello, welcome to myself, Max McGillivray of Beanstalk. We've got a pleasure today, a really exciting one, with our Beanstalk 20 on 20 series that we have Dan Cross. Dan, say hello.
Hi.
So Dan is not next to me in that I'm in Suffolk in the UK. He's not next to me in Cambridgeshire. Dan, just tell everyone where you are, please.
I'm in Rochester, New York, so upstate New York in the US.
And Dan and I, just in our little green room, we were having a bit of a laugh and joke that we've got to get Dan to promote his product as much as possible today. So Dan, can you just show your product? You're going to get so bored of this, Dan.
So here's a great organic, vacuum-packed, fresh beet product available across North America.
Fantastic. So Dan, let's give you the big rah-rah so that everyone live on Zoom, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or on our recorder on the podcast can get a bit of a better understanding of you and the fantastic Love Beets business and how it came about. And then let's find a little bit more about Dan and how this business was created and hopefully where it's going in a positive manner. So Dan Cross, MD of Love Beets USA. As we said on our social media launch, which we were just saying in the green room, went mad. Dan is basically a rock star, movie star within the fresh produce sector in the UK and now internationally. He's always been one to watch in respect of his fast progression in the sector. He's been with the G's Group for over 20 years and latterly as MD for their UK operation. In 2017, he moved to the G's Love Beets business in the United States to lead the brand from there as it entered a new stage of growth following recent investments in facilities and US production capacity. So G's, if you're not aware of G's is one of Europe's largest fresh produce companies. They are an internationally marketing-led farming business established in 1952. G's is a vertically integrated business and is driven by market-leading innovation and customer insight. They supply customers across UK, Europe, and the US. Love Beets is a true labour of love from the husband and wife team, Guy and Catherine Shropshire. The Shropshire family, G's, is known for growing salad vegetables in England. And they decided to purchase a small beet factory with the hopes of sharing a family favourite with others. They knew they wanted to find a way to attract younger people to enjoy beets. So the family got to work experimenting with unique marinated beet recipes. In 2010, Guy and Catherine took their marinated baby beets to the New York City's Fancy Roadshow, where the response was overwhelmingly positive. Virtually everyone they talked to or presented the beets to who tasted their beets said, "Love Beets," in an American accent. Not only did the name stick, but Guy and Catherine moved to the United States looking for opportunities to build their brand and spread the beet love, the love of beet. With the help of family, farmers, and major retailers, the Love Beets brand blossomed and expanded its reach across the country. The business flourished and grew so much that in 2016, the company invested in its own state-of-the-art production facility in Rochester, New York. Most of the beet comes from farms within the US and most being grown in upstate New York. So since its launch, Love Beets has been defining preconceived notions of beets with an upbeat, fun, modern brand and tasty product that attracts beet lovers and beet newbies alike. So Dan, is that spot on? Is that how you saw it? Is that how it was presented to you, sold to you when you first came across the business internally when you were in G's in the UK?
Yeah, I think so. I think from my time in the UK working with beetroot, beets, and UK retailers, you can see that there's a product that had tremendous growth in the UK. Was great to be a part of that, and then to have the opportunity to come to a much less developed market for the products was pretty attractive. I think that some of the stuff that's not in there is around the health benefits, the nutritional benefits of beets. Heart disease is the biggest killer in the US. More people die from heart disease than anything else, and it's certainly one of, if not the best vegetable you can be eating for promoting heart health is beets. So I think all of that, looking at the market here, means it's a pretty fun thing to be trying to get your head and hands around.
Fantastic. And Dan, let's just go back in time. We want to find out about you. But before we do that, someone has very kindly WhatsApped me and just wants to know, does your beard have its own Instagram account? For all those on the podcast, Dan is sporting the most beautiful groomed beard. You look fantastic, Dan.
Thank you. And I've been wearing a face mask all day, so it's a bit roughed up. So
okay, so Dan, answer the question: does your beard have its own Instagram account, please?
Not yet, but if you get another 25 WhatsApps, I'll think about it.
Okay, there you go, team. So, Dan, how did you get into the glorious world of fresh produce? In that, I've interviewed you a number of times over the years, and you, well, just as per the social media positive reaction we got about this, you could have gone in any direction. You could have gone into, oh my God, banking. You could have gone into sports management. You could have gone into politics, God forbid. How did you end up in, I'm trying to avoid the phrase, the murky world. How did you end up in the glorious world of fresh produce, Dan?
I think partly by chance to start with, looking for a good summer job that I could get paid to do some hard work and put in hours. And I think anything in farming and agriculture is generally welcoming of young people who want to work hard. So I think that's probably the starting point. But really, the opportunities within the growing G's group and the different things going on in G's always meant that there was something new. I like things that change quickly. I like having to adapt and having to get your head around those kind of situations. And I'm not sure there's any other industry that has the kind of dynamism that fresh produce does. And so, I guess once I'd kind of got into it and started exploring some different things in and around it, I was pretty hooked.
And Dad, I'm not commoditizing you, but there's a plethora of individuals like you, roughly the sort of same age group, that have either been aligned to the likes of G's or homegrown Kenya, Flamingo, as was. And what I think is beautiful about the employers, whether it be the likes of G's or those other companies I mentioned, they could see that with individuals like you, if they allowed you to grow, two things are going to happen. You're either going to swim or you're going to sink, and the bulk of you have all swam. And for you to be in a position where you are now, an MD of a really fast developing business in the US, I agree with you. If you've gone into construction or engineering, it's potentially going to be dead man's shoes. What's in some respects, you've managed to create your own career within G's. You just had to show your mettle, show your ability, show what you could do on a commercial basis, and push on. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think that equally, generally privately owned businesses, family businesses, their success is also in allowing people to fail. And I think there are maybe more corporate or publicly owned businesses where you don't necessarily get that opportunity. There's more of a fear culture. And I think particularly the Shropshire family, but as you say, other families in farming and fresh produce supply, seeing that, back the people that it's a true kind of meritocracy, back the people that you can see that are making progress, allow them to learn from their mistakes and see what happens.
And Dan, do you think there's a potential negative to that if these businesses are allowing these people to sink or swim? What's that quote from the likes of Cranfield, that those companies that invest in training development tend to see better staff progression, better turnover, and better profitability? I have to ask the direct question: what's your training development been like within the G's business, just so that there'll be graduates who'll be really excited about potentially being aligned to the G's business? What was your training development like internally?
Yeah, I think pretty good. A very good balance, I would say, that worked for me, of structured and more mentoring and being able to buddy up to people who were doing very different things that maybe were things I was interested in for the future, as well as also having a balance of some of the more formal management development and training stuff. I mean, the management trainee scheme at G's is very good. Yeah, and I think also having that, as you say, in different businesses, G's is kind of big enough that you've got a peer network within the business, as well as contacts in retailers or other produce businesses of similar people doing similar things in slightly different fields. So I think that works. And I think G's has always been very open and very supportive of encouraging people to network, encouraging people to come and see our business, and vice versa. And that's always been very eye-opening. I've definitely also really benefited from being involved with some very different businesses in and around Cambridge, which G's sponsored me and supported me to be part of the Cambridge network, where talking to a variety of biosciences, software, all kinds of different disciplines, and fundamentally most of the businesses facing the same problems around recruitment, people development, sales, pipelines. It's all very similar kind of stuff in incredibly different fields.
Yeah, I think that osmosis of meeting people in other sectors, but what you very quickly find out, and Dan, normally at the bar, you normally find out that everyone's got the same problems. It's just in a different concept. But to actually be able to meet people, and there's no conflict, but they've got the same problem, but be able to discuss it in that sort of forum, I think is fantastic. So when you started at G's, you started out on the operational side, and you could have gone in any particular discipline. How come you ended up being the commercial beast that you were before you went to the United States?
That's a good question. It was something that, talking about training and development, really, I think Jonathan Tremaine at the time, he said to me once, he was coming around the factory that I was running when I was 21, and he was coming around and he said, when are you going to move into sales and account management and commercial? And I said, I'm not, no way. It's not, I'm happy with my factory. And we were kind of in the relatively early days of supermarkets scaling up their organic salads and vegetables business. I had a factory that was dedicated organic. And it felt like that was something that was growing, and that was a good place to be, and it was kind of resist at all costs. I guess he got to me, and after 4 or 5 years, having similar conversations, and agreed to start out as a junior account manager and start dealing with some retailers, and kind of went from there.
And retailers, come on. So what was it like when you first got into the bear pit that are the UK retailers? What was it as scary as some people think, or was it a walk in the park?
It's a learning curve for sure. I can remember some early interactions with Summerfield that didn't go very well, and I guess that's that point about being allowed to fail and learn. I think business is about people, and I think the relationships and that focus on people is important. And I very much learned through my time in G's to be focused on people and products. Yeah. And if you know about your products and you can share knowledge about your product, you can find ways to make the market work with you. And if you're focused on the people and what the people need and meeting their needs, you don't need to be afraid of anyone. Doesn't matter what the banner is over their head office. There's people there where if you're confident in your product and you can develop a relationship, there's opportunities.
And just everyone, I can say this with a bit of authority. There's a number of people out there in UK, it's the supply side, who are very similar to Dan in the respect that with the retailers have got a great admiration for them, because they can sort of predict the problems before the retailers see them and create the solutions and go to the retailers with the solution for the problem that the retailer didn't know was going to be a problem. And because of that, the retailers get very enamored with those sort of individuals. So those younger individuals who are looking to get into that commercial sphere, make sure you buddy up with the likes of Dan or other high quality individuals on a commercial sense. Because if you can, because Dan, you don't want these people to be but order takers. You want them to be innovative and to take that load, that problem, that issue off that retailer buyer's desk, because you want to create more sales for them. Would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's both ways as well. And wherever I've had the most successful relationships, or I've observed the most successful relationships, have been when that's a two-way street. Particularly in an agricultural sense, where you've got variable weather and conditions and short shelf life products, where next week could be the problem. That might not be the problem the retailer's looking at, and they're looking at what does my margin look like, or my promotional strategy, or my end space look like in 6 months. and actually being able for both of you to understand each other's problems and find the right solutions is where you can have the richest relationships, I think.
And also, Dan, I'm probably getting a bit too deep down and personal here, but when you and I've had highs and lows in our working relationship, the one thing that you've always been good at with me, and there's another case in point with those coming through the ranks, the phone. So many people hide behind emails, and in my old sales training, I was always taught if you use the phone correctly, money comes out of it. And so with the likes of Dan, they've always been great communicators. And I've got there's so many stories on this. And let's just name a retailer. I remember years ago, Asda, a Asda buyer was complaining because one of his workmates was sending him upwards of 60 emails a day, and he sat next to him. And it said, well, why doesn't this guy talk to me? And the likes of millennials and Generation Z, they've got to be very, very careful that they don't lose the ability to communicate. And as Dan says, it's a two-way street. So if you are in that commercial world, the first thing you've got to do is pick up the phone and talk to people, because that's how you'll create the relationship. And it's not going to come overnight, Dan, is it? You've got to work at that. It might feel like you're barking into a wood for a while and no effect. But it's when you then get that phone call back from that buyer that you know you're getting somewhere.
Yeah, and I think that the environment is changing as well, and I think that the pandemic has brought an element of that, where using Microsoft Teams and in effect instant messaging, that kind of stuff, text, WhatsApp being a bit more prevalent, kind of important that hopefully as things, as you're able to have more one-on-one time to connect with people, the balance is right of relationship building as well as the different communication platforms, which can, there's sometimes email's perfect, sometimes an instant message is perfect, sometimes text is perfect, but if that's all it is, you're losing out on a significant efficiency in understanding each other and solving each other's problems.
So Dan, just go back a little bit. When you were MD within the UK, 2016, 2017, what were you running in the UK? What was the shape and form? What products were you dealing with? What retailers, if it's okay to ask, were you dealing with? How many people were you looking after?
So directly, really, the supply chain and commercial team in the UK of the G's UK salad business. So lettuce, celery, spring onions, radish, and all of those kind of products, pretty much covering the majority of UK retail and some food service and also then wholesale markets. So pretty broad reach across all the kind of UK channels in fresh leafy salads and the kind of chilled salad arena. So, standard kind of sales team, customer services, and then also all of our product leaders coordinating the supply through from the G's farms.
Dad, I love the way you say that. You make it sound like you've just taken the dog for a walk. You're so modest. And if it's okay to ask, what sort of turnover of business were you running at that peak?
It feels like a long time ago now, but about 180 million.
Wow, listen to that, everyone. 180 million. That was 2016. So here comes the inevitable question, Dan. You've got that team. You're one of the biggest players in that sector within the UK. Why move over to in effect a niche startup in the States? Why move?
I guess a few things. So one of them was that when I moved into a position in head office, I said I didn't want to do any more than 10 years in head office, and I'd been there 11. So felt I'd overstayed my stated welcome. But also things need to change and create opportunities. You talk about young people and dealing with problems, and I know that there's a lot of talented people in that office in G's now dealing with Brexit and border controls and how you keep product moving. Been hearing a lot in the UK news about Scottish fish and that kind of stuff, and I haven't heard anything about people not being able to get a salad. So some people have worked it out, and they're me 10 years ago, and that's having the space for those people is important. And I think that the market in the US, there's a lot to learn here. There's a lot of opportunity. It is different, two countries, whatever, disconnected by a common language. It's a very different market. It's a big geography, and it's a different and new challenge. It's been good to be a part of it.
So let's look at this this US side, because as we were briefly talking in our green room, the UK fresh produce sector doesn't have a very successful track record of going into the States, let alone retail. So let's look back a bit. Tesco, our major retailer within the UK, they set up Fresh and Easy in 2007, and that was a half a billion US investment that they put in there. And they did this quite interesting thing, didn't they, Dan? They managed to I was going to say. Don't say that. They managed to persuade. Let's go for persuade. They persuaded 3 big companies to go with that ride with them to the States. So Two Sisters Food Group, which is a very big protein business, meat business in the UK, salad business by the name of Langmeads, and a big fruit business that was known as MMUK is now known as AM Fresh. So there was a collective of those 3 companies, and they created Wild Rocket Foods to supply Tesco Fresh and Easy. Why? So Tesco, the might of Tesco, it didn't work. The whole thing collapsed in the early noughties. Well, Dan, have you got any understanding as to why we couldn't do what McDonald's have done in the rest of the world? Why couldn't we, on a retail perspective, work in the States?
Yeah, I think it's interesting from a retail perspective. I think that, there's far less consolidation here than there is in the UK. You've got a lot of regional players, and some of those regional players are incredibly strong in their region. In reality, there's very few national players. I think Walmart is the only retailer that has a store in every state. And so there's that just gives you a bit of a view of how kind of deconstructed it is. So in some pockets, you have some incredibly strong, very highly loyal local retailers that people are very used to. I think Tesco could have done it through an acquisition. That may have been a different strategy. And I think as a Tesco supplier, the absolute critical part would have been to not have been beholden to one retailer. But that's easy for me to say in hindsight. And I probably wouldn't have said that if they'd asked my opinion at the time, which they didn't. But so yeah, I think it's difficult. I think there's as many stories of US businesses or other global businesses expanding and it not working.
Dan, look at Asda. Look at what Walmart treated us, I'm going to swear, as the bastard cousin, and trying to offload it, which they tried to do with Sainsbury's, obviously, and successfully have done to a couple of individuals and a private equity company. So yeah, I suppose it works both ways.
Yeah, I think it does work both ways, and it's fundamentally about understanding your markets and making sure that your expansion drives some kind of synergy. And isn't just a land grab that operates in isolation. You've got to be able to apply something that's useful into the market that you're doing. And honestly, we found that it hasn't been without its challenges here. It's very difficult sometimes. We've got a lot of capacity, we've got a lot going on, we've got a lot of really good projects, but having to adapt and be really clear on what makes a difference for your customers and retail partners is always a fundamental, and we're still adapting. Our model to start with isn't the model we have now.
So Dan, where I'm fascinated is that you have this debacle of Tesco Fresh and Easy. They take a number of UK produce companies, food companies, to assist them to set up Fresh and Easy. It doesn't work. You look at the G's business, which has got such a good reputation, especially as it's privately owned by the Shropshire family, and you already had businesses in the likes of Spain, Senegal. Been to your Senegal operation, it's stunning, and out in Poland. Why this mad dash? Why this curiosity to come to the States? When could you not have looked to have expanded the Love Beets business within Europe initially? Why take such a big punt over to the States?
Yeah, I think there is an element about nutrition and health, but probably the primary is really about the size of the market. So I think it's more than 30% of the world's consumer spending is in the US. and it's less than 3% of the global population. So in terms of getting products into the market, particularly healthy products, I think that's a significant opportunity. And what we need to be doing, and what I feel we're starting to make progress on here really, is that plant-based diets, more nutritionally conscious eating habits, less supplements, less medication, lower healthcare costs, those kind of things are significant here. There is a real opportunity to be doing that. And that's before you overlay kind of digital agriculture, regenerative farming, and the other opportunities in the biggest consumer market in the world. It feels like it's a place where you can learn a lot, for sure.
And so do you think that that market in the States in comparison to the UK specifically is more exciting, more there's going to be more penetration for the Love Beet business in the States? Because it's great you've got the map of the States behind you, whatever it is, 242 million souls in the States. You just think there's going to be more, there is more potential for you in the States than there is in the UK and Europe?
In this product specifically, there's more upside for sure. You know, I think and you know, it was a long time ago. It was probably 12 years ago when some of my colleagues were in the US, and the principal for their research trip was looking at salads and what kind of varieties of lettuce were being grown, and you know, really a leafy greens kind of a trip. And really the output was that the leafy greens business isn't that much different, but there isn't any beets. So there's no beetroot in the sense that we're used to beetroot in the UK. And so that was really the trigger that triggered a bit more research, where the first thing was, well, are you sure there's no beetroot? And, you know, get some research going and see that you kind of, in terms of the products that were available, it was predominantly in a can. And so the UK and the European market had developed into other formats of beet products, and the US hadn't, and there was a small amount of import, but no one had really taken a grip on the market. And so really Guy and Catherine Shropshire then came out here to really try and push that and do exactly that, see how they could have something that was forever locked into beets and really be the hero that developed the market here. And that's the journey we're still on.
Yeah, if I could do, I'd love to import in David Wagstaff, because he gives that great example of Happy Eggs. That's I remember when Happy Eggs is a business that was created by the Noble egg business in the UK, and they were, I think probably there's a lot of similarities down that they wanted to expand their reach, and they felt that they couldn't do it within the UK, and so they sent David out on a mission. And they initially, I think, got quite excited about the likes of Australia, but they realised that in Australia there's only 20 million people, and it's a nightmare to get to them all. So they settled on the States, because there are whatever 240 million souls, and as you intimated, Dan, the retail sector is not consolidated. So as long as you've got enough boots on the ground, and you can create a brand like Happy Eggs, like Love Beets, you can actually make a real difference. So Dan, was there any thought of, rather than actually sticking a facility in, could you not have done an innocent drinks model? Could you not have done a Red Bull model and just outsource the dirty end, the production side, and just become a marketing business? Could you have not gone down that route?
I mean, that's basically how the business started here. In that we were setting up a supply chain and sales and marketing, but the supply chain was importing from the UK. And bringing the product over to then put it through third-party handlers for distribution in the US. And it was really a sales and marketing operation here in developing the brand and getting the orders in. I think, and quite right strategy for the long term, that there would be a focus on US grown, particularly in organic. And actually, relatively speaking, there's a small amount, or there was a small amount of organic beets grown in the US. So really, when it came to how do you develop the market, we need to develop organic growers that have the capability of getting the right product in the right place. And then are we going to rely on a third party and for them to put in all the technology using our IP from the UK, or would we do it ourselves? So we have a partner here who's very experienced in manufacturing food products. and they're our landlord, and we work very closely with them in how the facility and stuff's developed. But yeah, G's are the majority in the factory, and we felt that having that US grown, US made was a very important step.
And when you first got into the business in 2017, what was your, crikey, what was your first 3 months, 6 months like? Was it a learning curve like that, or was there a lot of similarity as to what you already knew from your UK time?
Yeah, I guess, you know, I in effect, I'd been working with the product for 15 odd years. And so felt pretty comfortable with the product and process. I guess some of that early stuff, getting my head around some of the cultural aspects, getting to grips with the people and team, and understanding what you could say, what you couldn't say, how things worked, what people were used to, was probably the kind of sharpest learning curve, as well as some of the kind of small differences around kind of localization, you know, things that we do slightly differently here than we would do in the UK, and just trying to understand why we'd gone down that route and whether that was something that was adding value or not.
My friend Mary Coupler from the United Fresh organization, she's going to shoot me for saying this. The Americans drive on the wrong side of the road. Are they like that in business as well?
It's interesting, actually. I have a cheat sheet. I don't know whether you can see it, but there's some terminology here.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's very useful. So, you know, when an American says awesome, it means good. Fine is bad. Okay is bad. My friend is a person I know. Let's stay in touch is goodbye. I don't like you that much. And so little things like that are maybe a bit different to what I was used to in the UK. That's helped me have that by my desk.
Excellent. And how many people do you have on site within the business?
So we've got just under 100 people in the factory, working across 2 shifts. And we're supplying all of the Love Beets cooked beet product for North America's, for say US and Canada, supplied out of the factory here. And then we've got around 20 people in sales and marketing that are kind of regional. Okay,
and those 20 people, are many of them like you? Have they transferred over from the UK, or are they all Americans?
Majority of people in the factory are American. It's a bit of a mix. So I think we got 3 Brits, an Aussie, and yeah, I'd say there's definitely some cultural diversity. Our workforce in the factory is very diverse as well. You know, all would kind of identify as American, but from many different places and backgrounds. A lot of economic migration. This area, upstate New York, Rochester in particular, was a big, it was kind of a Silicon Valley, go back 100 years, making chemicals and film and all kinds of different stuff. You know, headquarters of Kodak, Xerox, for the US and the world. So as that industry's declined, there's been a lot of unemployment and a lot of kind of community challenges. So being able to create those jobs here by nature also means we've got pretty high diversity in the workforce.
And just looking at your very professional and fun social media that you put out, and the likes of your lovely shirt, and quickly show off your product again, Dan. We've got to get that in 22 times, otherwise we're fantastic. Is your business a fun place to work at? And the reason for saying that, we've picked this up on a number of other broadcasts, that especially the millennials and Generation Z, they want to work in businesses with a purpose. They don't want to. They want to be a name, not a number. They want to have fun with their colleagues, and they want to be involved, associated with a product that's doing good. I'm sort of asking you from a side, but is your business a fun business to work for?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's fun. I think it's generally different to the kind of industry and manufacturing businesses that are in the area too. Yeah, I think it's a fun place to be, and it's great to have a fun, healthy product. You know, that is the benefit of all fresh produce as well. And there's always challenges, and part of that excitement is in finding better ways to do it. How do you make things more sustainably? How do you grow things more sustainably? As well as how do you then communicate that to your customers, which is really partly where some of the kind of fun and the personality that goes behind our brand. People have to feel it at the shelf, that it is fun and we're trying to do the right thing, and that's what we have to communicate, and that's the culture we have to keep trying to perpetuate.
And marketing wise, what is your magic dust? How have you got the business to where it is, and how are you going to get it further forward? What's the magic dust on that marketing perspective, please?
I think we got a great team. So we got really, really good people that really understand how to make those connections and how to use the different channels that exist. I think it's interesting here in terms of online from a retail perspective. So there's some things around there that, particularly in the last year, have worked very well for us. But yeah, it's honestly, it's great to have our brand name and our product name on every product. You know, people walk to the shelf and they can see Beets jumping out, and it's Love Beets. And so we can keep bright colors, and we can keep communicating and using all the channels available. We hopefully we can keep encouraging people to try our products. We can keep innovating new products and keep learning.
And just on that side about retail, we're seeing a seismic shift on online delivery because of the back of COVID, and there's a number of businesses that are looking to go direct, or we've got to see what happens with Amazon Fresh within the UK. Are you seeing that sea change as well on the eastern side of the States? Online, is it as potentially big as it is in the UK?
I'm not sure it'll ever get as big as the UK, and I think there's a couple of reasons. It may be in time, but there's definitely a more of a culture here of the shopping trip that's more of an experiential thing and less of a necessity. People are used to driving, so there's an approach that if you're going somewhere, you're going to go in a car, and so going to a grocery store is a journey and an adventure in itself. And so I think there's some habits there that don't break easily. We saw a really huge increase, back in March and April, where people were being discouraged from going out. Slightly different here to the level of restrictions in the UK. But definitely we saw the big pickup. It'd be interesting to see how much is sustained. I think from what I can gather, the differing models, certainly when I was in the UK, there's not a lot of margin for a UK retailer to deliver your food.
No.
They don't want to not have that sale, but at the same time, if you'd come and buy it in the store, that would be a better margin for them. Here, it's a lot more expensive to shop online. So you're paying an additional delivery charge. You're paying potentially a markup on every item. So there's a different margin structure to how that works. So you've got to be willing to pay 10 or 15% more if you want it delivered. And I think that in itself drives a culture where it's an occasional thing, not a weekly thing.
Okay. So on that basis, you don't have any great desire to serve the consumer direct.
You asked me the same question 6 years ago, and I think it's an interesting arena. I'm not. I mean, here in the US, we sell some of our powder products on Amazon. And it's a great channel. It's great to be able to get it straight to the consumer. I think when you asked me, whatever it was 6 years ago, whenever it was a lot about could the grower or the producer keep some of that margin? Yeah. And in effect, Amazon are highly profitable, but they're looking at a similar base to a big box retailer. So there's not a significant benefit as a supplier to be trying to cut out what everybody is used to. That could change in time. I think it'd be interesting to see.
And Dan, it's fascinating the differences between the likes of the UK and the US market, because that's one of the main reasons why the Tesco Fresh and Easy stores failed, because they tried to do smaller stores in suburban areas, but they completely, with the benefit of hindsight, completely misread the market, because the US consumer wants to go out for that experience in the car to a Walmart.
Yeah, for sure. It's a fascinating, my observation, and maybe completely incorrect, but my observation is that a country where people were driving to explore, they were going west, and you don't want to have to go to 7 stores. You want the general store where you can buy a horse, a rope, some beans, and whatever else you need. And there's still that kind of, that's the Walmart principle. Everything you could possibly want on a shopping trip is in Walmart. You don't need to go anywhere else. And so to be competitive, making that one trip and getting as many goods as possible is still something that's good. That doesn't mean there isn't space for an independent bakery or an independent butcher, but that model that developed from in a European sense from artisans and a specialist who's maybe importing fruit for you or baking for you or whatever, that gradually merges into a supermarket where you can get most of it. The model's going backwards in the US, where it started with a store where you can buy everything, and it's very specialist to have someone who's dedicated to one type of food, for sure.
Yeah, and marketing. What's the fundamental difference of marketing the fresh produce in the USA compared to England, please, compared to Britain?
So really interesting that there's a lot of names, so a lot less retailer own label. And I would say that there's a lot of, I guess, marked produce where it's a family name or a farm name where you've got some sense of connection and often some form of provenance. So you're appreciating that you're going and buying this brand. You're not necessarily buying into a broader lifestyle around that brand, but you know that this particular name is the whatever the product that you bought last week, and so you feel some connection to it and you know that it's grown locally or whatever. That's very different and is something that, in time working with UK retailers, communicating provenance, local, were big drives at times in the last 20 years, and they didn't necessarily have the impact. And I think those marks and kind of small scale brands here kind of do that in a way. They're communicating the provenance, and then you've got brands kind of on top of that do have more of the holistic lifestyle elements that you just don't really see in fresh produce in the UK.
So, and are the retailers in the States, do they encourage branding of fresh produce?
It's mixed retailer to retailer. So some retailers are very much driving for their own label.
Okay. And do fresh produce suppliers make more margin in the States than they do in the UK?
I would say on average, yes. I mean, I have no numbers to specifically back that up, but my impression is, yeah.
Someone's going to have to ask me, so I've got to ask you, just roughly, percentage-wise, how much more in the States?
So difficult to say. Typically, if you take a basket of items as a consumer, you're paying 30 to 40% more on a standard fresh item versus the UK. That was some research from about 8 or 9 months ago. So that's flowing through the retailers, maybe taking a bit more. There's a bit more in distribution costs, but a bit more is flowing through the supply chain. You've also got more brokers involved. So particularly in getting to a retailer, you're potentially paying a broker commission somewhere in there. Depending on what products you're moving, you might be buying from a wholesaler that may also go through a broker. So I would say there's more people in the chain, and maybe they're all taking a small piece of it, and maybe it's flowing back to the producer.
Okay. And do you think there's more potential for fresh produce companies in the United States than in the UK?
Good question. Yes.
Done. And Dad, what's your plans? Where do you want to take Love Beets? Where's it going to go? We're so excited to follow you now. Ongoing. Where's it going to go?
I think it's interesting. So the nutritional benefits. This is a healthy, high quality item. It's great building a brand. There's a lot of opportunities in the brand building too. And I think that being part of more plant-based diets and people looking for more variety and starting to try beets, where then maybe it's not a staple item, it's very much a discretionary purchase, trying to develop that to be something more of a regular purchase. And then at the same time, working on the sustainability aspects
Brilliant.
and the potential for regenerative farming as well, which I kind of see. I can see regenerative farming, carbon capture, and sustainable agriculture kind of overtaking organic over the next 10 or 15 years. And I think that that's something that's going to be great to be a part of and trying to lead and drive.
US farmers compared to UK farmers, who's better, who's worse?
In general, I think similar. I mean, there's some incredibly high scale farming operations here. I think in general, and yeah, the regenerative thing's interesting. Yeah. I think in general, it's been an interesting 50 years of you can buy a chemical, a pesticide, a fertilizer to supplement what you're doing that kind of makes it a bit easier, and you can increase your yields. And I think all growers across Europe, or many growers across Europe and the US, have been on that kind of trip, supported by big chemical companies and things like that have done that. And I'm not judging that or saying there's necessarily anything wrong with that. That's just been what the last 50 years has been like, and it's probably what the next 50 years are like. And so it will be interesting to actually see how ready the growers are to adapt in Europe and the US, and whoever adapts the fastest, I think, it will be the best and has an interesting opportunity.
And Dan, just on that regenerative agriculture, that's so it's so on message at the moment. Is that you saying that by the inference from the growers that you're seeing, or from what you're picking up from the UK side, or a combination of both?
Yeah, both. It is both. Particularly our organic growers here, we're working with very closely on being able to move to, and they're pretty close, but move to and certify some kind of regenerative status that then we can also use to share with our customers.
Yeah. And Dan, do you enjoy the States? Do you enjoy living in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. But yeah, I've been here 3 years, be here for a few more, I think. And yeah, try and make the most of it. It's a bit difficult with the pandemic, but we'll see how that kind of eases off and what happens next.
Dan, I think it's been a fascinating conversation. And I think what I want people to do is to start, if you're not already, start following the Love Beets business, especially on social media, and just see how it links back in with the G's business. Because as per the examples I gave of UK businesses that have gone into the States and it's just hasn't worked. Love Beets, although as Dan has intimated, hasn't been an easy ride. It seems to be, Dan, you and the team seem to be really plowing this fantastic furrow, and especially if you can link the whole element up from the growing aspect, the regenerative agriculture, to the health aspect. That's such easy sell for that right consumer, for the consumer to not just pick up the occasional beet, but just to have it on a regular, ongoing basis. Because of what you guys are all doing, I think it's going to be a fascinating journey for you all.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that's what we're trying to achieve, and I think there's always things to do, and we can always do more. And it's a lot about building the team and the skills in the team, and having people that are excited about being part of it and making stuff happen.
And Dan, I'm a bit split, because I know that a number of your colleagues would love to have you back in the UK, but I think the US wants you as well. It feels like we've got to put you through the photocopier so that we could have a Dan over here, a Dan in Spain, a Dan in Poland, and a Dan out there. And whilst we've been talking, I've just got to tell you that your beard, I've reached 18 WhatsApps for you to have your own Instagram account for you. So if it's okay, you said, I think I've got to get to 25 WhatsApp for, if it's okay, I request that when this record goes out, that if anyone who's viewing this, if they would like to also put in the request for Dan to have his own WhatsApp account, his own Instagram account for his beard, I think we've got to keep going with that, because Dan, you are the movie star, you are the rock star of fresh produce in the United States at the moment. So Dan, just before we wrap up, we've been saying this to a lot of people. We're all going through a bit of a tricky time as we hopefully punch on through COVID. With you as an industry leader, I'm sure you're getting it from your team. What's your advice to everyone for us to punch on through on a positive basis, to get through 2021 and to make the year and the following years a success as we get through this COVID situation? What's your advice to everyone, please?
Good question. I think that if you've survived 2020, you've got a pretty good leg into 2021. So I guess it's keep being adaptable. You know, anything can happen, and there's opportunity in everything, and finding that, keeping motivated, trying to prioritize, is what can help keep people moving forward. And I think that's got to be the way. Learn from the last year and apply it to the next year, and keep trying to change and adapt and make things better.
Dan, well done. Opportunity in everything. Dan, thank you very much for your time. It's been fascinating. Keep safe. Look after all your colleagues, and we look in fascination to see how you progress further the Love Beets business in the United States.
Great. Thanks, Max.
Keep safe. Well done. Thank you. Thanks, Dan. Bye, 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 bye.